Hey everybody, welcome back to Unfiltered. I am your host, Jason Gaszak, and I'm the pastor here of Roots Church in St. Clair, Missouri. And remember, as always, it's been a while, it feels like, since I've been on here and done a podcast. I want to just remind you what this podcast is all about. It is called Unfiltered, so that way I can be unfiltered in the subjects of politically, socially, and biblically speaking, and get to share my perspective or my opinion. And obviously, from the biblical side of things, we want to make sure we're sharing the truth. And today, I want to talk to you about something that really every leader wrestles with. But I want to take it a little step further. It's not just every leader. It's actually every human being in the world actually wrestles with this. And only a few people master it. And that is, how do we create a culture where we can have hard conversations and then have the conversation with grace? So you got to speak the truth, but yet have grace at the same time. Here's what I know about a very healthy team. Every healthy team, every healthy church, and every healthy relationship has one thing in common, and that is they tell the truth and they do it with grace. But when one or the other is missing, like truth without grace or grace without truth, the whole thing starts to fall apart. It becomes a big old dumpster fire because people's emotions and feelings get wrapped up in the middle of it. So today I want to talk to you about why we have to have the hard conversation sooner rather than later, which is a whole nother thing because a lot of people wait way too long to have these conversations when it's a lot easier to have that conversation sooner or right away. And I want to teach you how to do that. I want to teach you how to do that without losing the heart of Jesus in the process, because I know that the majority of people, when we have hard conversations or something that needs to be said, the truth needs to be spoken, I know for the majority of people, the motive is in the right place, but we just aren't good at doing it. So let's start with the question of why do we avoid hard conversations? And if we're honest with each other, it's because most people, and I would think the majority of people, really do hate confrontation. Even though a lot of people think that I like confrontation, I will tell you right now that I absolutely despise confrontation. I don't like it at all. I don't like having hard conversations. They're not fun. They're not enjoyable. As much as what some people may think they're enjoyable to me, they are not. And most people would rather avoid the hard conversation, push it down, or even hope that it magically goes away. And as a leader, I have seen this over and over again, especially being a pastor of a church with a lot of volunteers and staff. A lot of people leave the church because of a misunderstanding, because they can't have the hard conversation. They're so fearful of, what somebody might think. And what happens is these team members or your spouse or your children or your friend or your boss or whoever it is, they wait too long to deal with something that starts off really small. And then by the time that it does come up in a conversation, the problem is so huge, it becomes a big old issue and it's really hard to work through. So why do we do that? Well, the biggest reason is because we are afraid. There is fear of conflict, fear of a response, fear of hurting someone's feelings, or it might even be out of fear of losing your influence on that person or a friendship. But here's the truth. If we delay hard conversations, we choose comfort over growth. And I don't know about you, but we're all trying to grow and become a better person, a better human being every single year. And comfort never produces strong leaders. This is the thing I've learned as being a leader is you got to have the hard conversations. And yes, people get mad. Yes, people leave. Yes, you lose friendships. Yes, some people can't handle it. And yes, sometimes you lose your influence. And yes, all of the above does happen. But that's the risk you have to take in order to work through. Ephesians 4, verse 15 tells us this. It says, "We will speak the truth in love, growing in every way more and more like Christ." That is our goal, is to become more like Jesus, have the attitude of Christ, and not be afraid to have the hard conversation. The reason why we fail at this is because mainly we do it the wrong way. We do it with the tone, we do it with the wrong motive, we wait too long, and then people are mad because they should have said something earlier. And I find that to be more of the issue whenever you finally do tell the truth, is people are upset because you waited so long. It's a lot easier just to get it out of the way and have that hard conversation. Truth and love is what leads to growth. You can't have one without the other. And if all we do is keep peace, guess what? We're not growing. We're just pretending we're having what I like to call an artificial harmony. An artificial harmony kills a team. It kills a relationship. So what is accountability? Accountability is love. If we flip the script for a minute, most people, when they hear accountability, what they think of is punishment. I'm going to hold them accountable and they're going to be punished for what they did wrong. But accountability at its core is actually a form of love. It's actually a form of tough love. Proverbs 27, verse 5 and 6 says, an open rebuke is better than hidden love. I'm going to read that again because, this is biblical stuff I'm talking about. An open rebuke. In other words, when you have an open conversation with someone and you're rebuking them, you're calling them out, you're holding them accountable to something that they're doing, it says that is better than hidden love. It's better than pretending. It's better than artificial harmony. It goes on and it says, wounds from a sincere friend are better than many kisses from an enemy. That verse always hits me hard because it reminds me that correction is actually care. If someone really cares about me to tell me the truth, I look at that is a real friendship. That's love. I'm okay with one of my friends coming up to me and sharing something with me that's hard for me to hear. Now, let me say this. I'm not saying that I like it, and I'm not even saying that I always respond to it well. And most of the time when I'm hearing it, I'm not mad at the person for bringing it to my attention. I'm mostly upset because I did something wrong. I said something, did something, or whatever that hurt the other person, and I'm upset with myself, and sometimes they become collateral damage of my anger of my own self. I tell my team this all the time. Accountability doesn't say that I'm disappointed in you. It says, I believe in you enough to help you get back on track. And guess what? I, as the leader, need that same accountability. I was just talking to someone this morning because they have grace for me in a particular area of this church. And I said, well, what is everybody else doing? And they told me, well, everybody else is doing this. And I said, well, why aren't you holding me to that same accountability? And well, it's because I'm the pastor. It's because I'm the lead shepherd, the lead dog, and they feel like they should give me grace. And I said, that's great. Maybe I should have a little extra grace. But the reality is I still need to be held accountable just like the rest of the team when it comes to the systems and processes of this church. And so when we correct someone early, what we're doing is we're actually protecting their future and not punishing their past. I think that's very important for you to understand. This is not about punishing what they've done. It's about protecting them in the future so they don't do it again, so they have an understanding of what was said or how it was said. And that's what healthy leaders do. They hold people accountable to what they said yes to. As a matter of fact, here at this church, we talk about people serving all the time, and we say serving is sacrifice. Serving is not a convenience for you. If it's a convenience, then it's not really serving because serving is sacrifice. So you're sacrificing the things you love for the things you love more. And, sometimes when people serve here at this church, something else will come up, something they rather do. And it's an inconvenience for them to serve on a Sunday or for another day. And so what they end up doing is they commit to serving, but then that better thing comes up. And then they call and they cancel, or they say they can't be there for whatever the reason is, and then they don't show up, and that happens one or more times. Well, then a conversation has to happen. We have to let them know, hey, when you signed up to serve, we gave you the foundation of what it looks like. We told you what it was going to take for you to serve in the church. And that is, you got to make a commitment to serve one time a month. You got to respond to emails, and you got to come to meetings. You got to come to the dream team nights. Those are all things that we're going to hold you accountable to because that's what serving does. When you're on our team, this is what we're asking you to do. We're not making you be on this team. We're not making you. You said, yes, I'm willing to do those things. So when you don't do those things, we are to hold you accountable to those things. That's how we work here at Roots Church. Now, again, a lot of people, they get upset with that. And they say things like, well, this ain't my job and I'm not getting paid to do this. And when you start to hear that language, I can tell you right now, their attitude, their motives are all wrong. And you pretty much probably don't want them on your team because they're serving for all the wrong reasons. Serving is a sacrifice to help make the vision come to pass. That's what you want. You want the vision to come to pass. And so when we correct someone early, we're actually protecting their future. And that's what healthy leaders do. They hold people accountable to what they say yes to. And if a staff member commits to a value or a standard, great, we hold them to that as well, because accountability protects our culture. Here at Roots Church, one of my goals, and I've been talking about this, that's why I'm talking about today, and I'm talking to our leaders, that I have noticed and recognized that within our organization, people are struggling to have conversations sooner rather than later. And then what happens is if we wait too long because we got fear, whatever the reason is, and then the problem has snowballed into a much bigger thing, and then other people have to be drawn into the conversation, takes up more time for those people to be in the conversation. Then you got to have more meetings because of more people involved. And then the problem is much bigger, therefore it takes a lot more work to work that out. And I'm just thinking to myself, why are we waiting to have this conversation? If this is something that's been going on, and that's my question, how long has this been going on? Oh, a couple of months, or hey, 6 months we've been noticing this. And inside of me, I'm starting to get a little frustrated because I'm like, why are we waiting 6 months to have a conversation with somebody that we knew has been going on? There's a reason why we have that conversation sooner than later. The problem is, again, we wait too long. And that's what I'm seeing, and I just want to call it out because a lot of teams wait too long to have the conversations. We tell ourselves, you know what, it'll get better. It'll get better on its own. I don't want to cause a lot of drama. But guess what? Ignoring it doesn't make it better, and it doesn't go away. What happens when we don't have these conversations, when somebody's not doing what they're supposed to be doing, when somebody said yes to something and they don't follow up, then other people end up seeing the inconsistency, like maybe showing up late. All right, when we have a meeting here at 9 a.m., we start the meeting at 9 a.m. You don't show up at 9 a.m. and then go get your coffee and then go to the bathroom and then come into the meeting at 9:15 and then start the meeting. No, the meeting starts at 9 a.m. Our worship experiences start at 9 a.m. and 11 a.m., not at 9:05, not 9:10, not 9:01. They start on time. Why? Because we want to respect people's time. We're on a schedule and we want to respect the people that are being there. The old saying is, if you're on time, you're late, but if you're early, you're on time. That is a motto we stand by here at Roots Church. It's a motto in my life. I try to exemplify that in everything that I do, and I would not tell you that I have done that 100%, but man, I probably am about 98.9%. It is just a huge, huge value of mine. I do not like to be late, and I mostly show up early every single time anywhere I go because it's you have to plan for the worst, right? Like today, I took my car into the shop and my appointment was at 7:15. I arrived at 6:55. That's 20 minutes early. Why? Because I was hitting traffic and I didn't know what the traffic was going to be like. And I didn't want to be late for my appointment because I was going to be the first one there in the first appointment. I didn't want to get set back. So you plan ahead. That's just what you do. And if we're not doing that, we're not holding people accountable, then it causes all kinds of problems. People look at that. They don't see consistency. They see inconsistency, whether it's someone showing up late, not following through, gossiping, and no one says anything. And eventually, guess what? The silence becomes permission. The silence becomes permission. And when we finally do have the conversation, it's months too late and full of frustration. And most of the time, by that time, people leave, people step away, or friendships are broken, relationships are tainted, and healthy culture deals with problems early and honestly. Toxic cultures delay and explode later. So here's my challenge to you. If you see something off, have the conversation within what I would say 48 hours. Don't wait until it festers. Love people enough to get through that early, to have that conversation early enough. Now, let me kind of say this. I always wait 48 hours. And the reason why I wait 48 hours is because maybe something is being done and I'm seeing something from one perspective. And I don't want to assume what I'm seeing is the full picture. So I ask questions. I do a little investigating of the situation because I want to make sure that I'm not just seeing something that I'm looking for as well. Then I also want to wait 48 hours for the simple fact that if I'm frustrated, right? Like if it's my wife or my children or maybe a staff member that I'm a little bit closer to, which tends to lean that when you're closer to the situation, your frustration seems to be much quicker. You seem to react versus respond. And so I'm learning to pause throughout that 48 hours to think about it, pray about it, let my emotions come down. And then that way, when I have the conversation, when I ask the questions, I'm in a much better place. But I usually will wait at least 48 hours. Grace isn't excusing, it's restoring. So let's talk about grace, because some people hear accountability and they think it means harsh, cold leadership. That's not it at all. Grace doesn't mean you ignore the issue. Grace means you handle it gently, which if you know me very well, I think that's going to be my word for 2026, because that's the word that's been hitting me for the last 3 or 4 months is I need to be more gentle. Ever since we went through the fruits of the Spirit, gentleness is the one I've always missed. Gentleness is the one that I know that I need to work on, because it's one of the fruits of the Spirit that I did not exemplify. I did not exude gentleness because, that's my personality, right? But that doesn't make it an excuse, okay? We got to be gentle to restore people. The goal is to restore. The goal is to bring a person back to holiness, not to call them out so that way you can be right and they can be wrong. It's not just to correct them. No, it's to call them out so they can become holy. Here's what Galatians 6:1 says. It says, "Dear brothers and sisters, if another believer is overcome by some sin, you who are godly should gently and humbly help the person back onto the right path." It doesn't say with a harsh voice. It doesn't say make sure you tell them the truth and they got to hear it whether they like it or not. No, it says gently. Then it says humbly, which means you're not perfect. You've probably made that mistake before in your past, so don't you come in there high and all pious like you've got it all together. Humbly means come in low, which means you come in and say, hey, I've been there. I understand what you're going through. I've been in that position. I used to be that way, whatever. You bring yourself down and you come in and you're gentle about it. That's what this scripture is telling us. I love that. Help them back onto the right path. That's the heart of leadership, is to care enough about somebody that you would bring them back to a place of holiness, and you want to protect them from their future, what other people may look at them, right? How they view them. I've been in this organization for 10 years right now as the lead pastor, and we've had to work on some relationships because somebody did not do the right thing in the very beginning. We've had the hard conversations, but they've lost credibility. And in order to build the credibility back, you have to build trust. And that took a lot of work. And my goal is I don't want people to lose credibility. I don't want people to lose trust within their team. So when I see something that is happening, I want to call that out. I want to hold them accountable to it. So that way it protects them from their team, from the team looking at them and viewing them in a negative light, because it takes a lot more work to bring that credibility back and to build that trust than it is just to address it on the front side. Grace is the bridge between someone's failure and their future. Correction says that was wrong. Grace says, let's make it right. I love this. Correction is, you're wrong. You better figure it out. Grace is, hey, you made a mistake. Let's not focus on let's just fix that so we can make it right for the future because I care about you. So when someone messes up, especially a leader, the goal isn't to crush them, it's to coach them. I'm all about, I was talking to somebody the other day and we were talking about tutoring. And I'm not a big fan of the word tutor because it just feels like maybe if you're the person being tutored, you feel like you're dumb. You feel like you're ignorant. And we might be ignorant, which is a true statement. When you just don't know, that means you're ignorant. But dumb is a whole different story. And this person is very intelligent. But the way they're receiving the information of what it is that they're going through in school is they're just not comprehending it well. And it could be various reasons of why, but maybe the teacher just isn't connecting with the student in a certain way. I like to look at it as this person needs some extra coaching. Maybe they need to find a coach that can speak their language a little bit better for them to be able to understand. That's what our goal is when it comes to life in general. It's not just necessarily marriage counseling or you need a therapist or a psychiatrist. No. You just need some coaching. Coaching them helps restore them back to the place of the way Jesus wants them to be. So what happens, though, when a leader messes up? Because a lot of times that's the other side of this, right? Leaders are good at calling other people out. But when a leader messes up, the other side of that is a lot of people don't have grace for them because they set them to a high standard that they kind of hold them hostage. So let's talk about that for a minute, because when a leader messes up, the grace seems to disappear, and it disappears fast. And people leave the church over a leader messing up. Maybe a leader gossiped. Maybe a leader did something they shouldn't have done, whatever it is. And the volunteers or other people around look at that and they basically say, well, that person shouldn't be a leader, and I'm no longer coming to this church anymore because that leader messed up. It's like, whoa, slow down. What about your life? Have you ever messed up? Have you ever said something that you shouldn't have said? Have you gossiped about somebody? And, Christians a lot of times will gossip, and they'll use prayer to get the gossip. They'll use their position to tell someone else to gossip. I mean, we've all been there. But where's the grace? Again, they should be held accountable, no doubt. But even when a pastor fails, when a pastor messes up, people are so quick to judge and excommunicate them and tell them they're not qualified. And yes, leaders are to be held to a higher standard. James 3:1. If you want to know how to live the Christian life, read the book of James. James 3:1 says, "We who teach will be judged more strictly." So there's no doubt about it that those of us in leadership at the church are going to be judged more strictly, no doubt. But listen, that's not accountability. Or better yet, I should say, that's about accountability. It's not punishment, because we're human too. Just because we're judged more quickly, it shouldn't be a punishment. It should just hold us accountable. We have to be held accountable, but we can't be held hostage to the mistake that we made for a long time. If I've served my time, if I went through the process, made a mistake, I got removed from leadership, I served the time, I went through whatever process my leaders asked me to go through, and then I come back to serve, people cannot hold me hostage as if that's the person I'm going to be in the future. That's not fair to them. That's not grace, and that's not forgiveness. Forgiveness is letting go but not forgetting. Doesn't mean you forget it, act like it never happened, but you don't hold on to it and bring that past problem into their future when they've served the time, when they've been already called out, when the punishment, if needed, was brought forth. Or some of you don't like the word punishment, so we'll use the word consequence for those of you that don't like punishment. It's the same thing. There's a consequence. A punishment is when somebody brings on the consequence. Or a consequence could be, hey, don't climb the tree, but you climb the tree anyway, you fall out of the tree. That's the consequence of not listening. A punishment is, hey, show up on time, and you don't show up on time, so now I give you a consequence, which is a punishment. Might be a tardy, I might write you up, I might dock your pay, whatever. They're basically the same thing. And Jesus corrected Peter, but he didn't cancel him. He restored him. And he said, feed my sheep. That's the grace and truth in action. Jesus is the ultimate example. We need truth and grace together. John 1:14 says, the Word became human and made his home among us. He was full of unfailing love and faithfulness. Or some translations say he was full of truth and grace. It has to be both. That's the balance. If we lean too hard into the truth, we become harsh. And if we lean too hard into the grace, we become weak. But when we bring both together, we become like Jesus. You have to have truth with grace. Rules without relationship lead to rebellion. So here's what it means for us as leaders. And you may be sitting out there today listening to this thinking, well, I'm not really a leader. I don't really serve on a team. It doesn't matter. You're leading somebody somewhere. If you got friends and they're following you and they listen to your advice, you're a leader in some way, shape, or form. Here's what you need to know. Truth keeps us aligned with the mission. Grace keeps us aligned with the heart of God. And truth without grace hurts people, and grace without truth fails people. But truth and grace together heals people. I'm going to say that one more time because that's pretty good stuff right there. Truth without grace hurts people. Grace without truth fails people. And truth and grace together heals people. All right, so how do we do this? How do we build this culture to have hard conversations? Well, to do it, we got to be honest and we got to be gracious, right? So here are some steps. You ready? I got 5 of them, real simple steps. Write them down. Write them down as I go. Here we go. Number 1, don't delay. Have the hard conversation quickly and do it within 48 hours. Number 2, do it directly. No gossip, no triangles, okay? You don't go to this person to go to that person and work through this person to work to that person. No, you go directly to them. Do not text them. Do not email them. You go directly to them. And let them know this is not a disappointment. So what do you do? Number 3, do it gracefully. Lead with the belief, not disappointment. Lead with the belief that they can do better and it's not who they are. And it's not a disappointment. It's just it's a mistake. Number 4, you document it. So there are going to be times you need to document this issue where you clarify what the expectations are and what are their next steps. Depending on the situation, hey, all right, here's what's happened. Here's what I've seen. This is what I need you to do. So moving forward, this is what I want from you. And you document all that. You make sure that they understand it. If you got a teenager and you're having problems at home with your teenager, I'm getting ready to do this with a couple now. Let me tell you what you do. You write a contract. You write a contract, an agreement between the student and the parents and myself, the pastor. We all sign it. Everybody knows what the responsibility is. And when someone breaks the contract, then you have the consequences in there. Holds everybody accountable. That's what we got to do. We got to document it so that way we can hold each other accountable. And then the last thing, the most important thing is we got to model it. Let people receive you as the leader, receiving the feedback with humility. Don't get so defensive when somebody comes to you and gives you, shares something with you. Just receive it. Repeat it back. So what I'm hearing you say is that I did this, or what I'm hearing you say is that you were hurt by this action. And if they say yes, what do? You validate. Hey, you know what? I could see how that could be hurtful. I could see how that could be a complete misunderstanding. I am so sorry that it was communicated that way or it came off that way. I apologize. That is not my heart. That is not what I want to do. And you know what? I will do better the next time. That's humility. You're no way all of us are ever going to do it great every single time. But that is how culture changes. We change the culture. We don't let culture change us. And we as leaders have to live it out first. So let me give you the reflection and the challenge. Let me ask you this. Have you been avoiding a conversation right now that you know needs to happen? Because if you are, you need to stop avoiding it. You got to ask yourself, what is stopping you? Is it fear? Is it pride? Is it comfort? But let me remind you, you can't fix what you won't face. Just because you sweep it under the rug, guess what? Eventually, you keep sweeping things under the rug, you're going to have a big old hump in the rug and you're going to trip over it. It's not going anywhere. You got to deal with it. God can use your words to bring healing and direction, but only if you're willing to speak up. Colossians 3:13 says, make allowance for each other's faults and forgive anyone who offends you. Remember, the Lord forgave you, so you must forgive others. I'm going to read it again. Because for some reason, as Christians, we forget this verse in our world when it comes to leaders. Remember, if a leader messes up, you still got to give them the same treatment. Make allowance for each other's faults. Forgive anyone who offends you, and remember that the Lord forgave you, and you must forgive others. So what are we doing? We're holding people accountable. We're giving them grace. We're confronting issues, but we do it with compassion. We lead strong. We stay humble. That's how we build a healthy, kingdom-minded culture. And trust me, here at Roots Church, that is exactly what we're going to build. Let me just say this. If this episode spoke to you, maybe you're realizing that you've been delaying a tough, hard conversation. Maybe you've been carrying resentment. I want to challenge you this week to go have that conversation. And if you go to this church, I want you to come up to me and let me know how that conversation went, because I would love to hear your story of how that went. Don't wait another month. Don't overthink it. Just be real, be kind, and be courageous, because leadership isn't about avoiding conflict. It's about redeeming it. I hope this helped you today. I want to thank you for tuning in to the Unfiltered podcast. And guess what? I'm trying my hardest to bring more things like this to you to help us become a better person every single day. I don't want to overwhelm you with all the things we need to work on in life, but you've got a couple of weeks to work on this one. And if you liked what I shared, if you agree with it, if you don't agree with it, I would love for you to comment in the comment section on the YouTube page. Subscribe to this page so you know when the next one comes out. Share with a friend. Let them know that, hey, you can learn something from this. We can all learn something from this. But share it with your team. Share it with a friend. And remember, leadership is hard, but it's worth it when we do it God's way. We need to be full of truth and full of grace. And until next time, stay real, stay strong, stay rooted, and stay unfiltered. I love you guys.